Anime fans, Dragon Ball fans, what is good? The answer to that question, of course, is Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is what's good, and today we have a whole anime review on the first Dragon Ball anime. So I just want to preface this by saying this is the only Dragon Ball anime I have seen. I have not seen any of the other animes or read any of the manga. This is the only art of Dragon Ball I have seen. This is the only piece of the series I have seen, so I ain't trying to see no spoilers in the comment section. I'm probably going to be making more reviews occasionally as time goes on, like I might make a review of Dragon Ball Z once I finish that in later months, but you're not going to see me making any Dragon Ball theories or anything like that until I finish or catch up with the whole thing. Right now, the original Dragon Ball anime is the only one I have seen, so I ain't trying to see no spoilers. I also want to say the fillers will be cut out of this review because I did not watch the fillers because they were filler, so I only went to the canon parts. So with that out of the way, let's start. So Dragon Ball is an old and original anime a lot of people skip because they just want to get to Dragon Ball Z. I myself was one of those people, but I decided I wanted to watch Dragon Ball from the beginning just so I knew all the facts and had all the knowledge inside of me. And at first I didn't really want to do it, and I was like, this is gonna be a pain. But as I was watching it, I realized that Dragon Ball is an entertaining show in its own right, and I think deserves a lot of respect and much more than it gets from a lot of people. So I'm just gonna talk about that for a bit here. Even if it's not as good as Dragon Ball Z, I can't really say that myself because I haven't seen Dragon Ball Z. I still think it's a good anime that's worth a lot of people's time and something that most people would enjoy watching, so I'm just gonna give a little review on it, mostly non-spoiler, even though a couple of minor spoilers might drop here and there, but probably not a ton. The first thing I want to note about this anime is that it was a trailblazer, so it was one of the first of its kind. I know a lot of people will be like, it's just the typical shonen mold, but it was the first, or one of the first of the typical shonen mold, so at the time it was kind of new and exciting, and not something to be looked down upon. It was something pretty cool, and I still enjoy the typical shonen mold myself, so I don't know about everybody else, but I still like that typical shonen mold. But just the fact that it was one of the ones who trailblazed the way for that quote-unquote typical shonen mold just gives me a lot of respect for the series, and it enhances the experience when you realize you're looking at one of the OGs. So one thing about this show is I'm not even quite sure how they pulled it off, but at least for me, the villains didn't have that much depth. They didn't have as much depth as somebody like Sasuke, somebody like Madara, somebody like Doflamingo. They didn't have that type of depth, but for some reason, I don't know quite how, I don't know how the writing achieved this, but at least for me, they were still very riveting and exciting and interesting. I still found myself looking toward the battles that Goku would have with them. I still found myself looking toward their cameos, to where they would appear. I just found myself loving the villains, even if they didn't have quite as much depth as a lot of other shonen villains. I just really enjoyed them, and I really thought they fit the story, and a lot of them were weird and quirky and had some kind of cool abilities and kind of looked weird, some of them, and that just kind of made them really cool, and you kind of got attached to them. Like one of the villains, Piccolo, I really found myself enjoying Piccolo's presence, so that is one good thing about the anime and one thing I really liked about it, of course. Following the previous statement, the main characters were also like that too. A lot of the main characters didn't have quite that much depth, but you find yourself getting attached to them just because they're so cool and they have all these quirks and all these cool and funny interactions, and they do have depth, don't get me wrong, but they don't have quite as much depth as some other shonen characters, but even so, you get just as attached to them, and I'm not quite sure why, as I said, but you just do, and you just find the show very enjoyable because of the villains and the main characters that are there, and even the side characters, which brings me into my next point. Even if they were just a small side character that didn't have much importance in the story, or if they were just a little villain that had already been defeated or something like that, all the characters in Dragon Ball maintain relevance. Like, they all had later appearances, most of them anyway, but even if they didn't, they still maintained relevance. So if they came back, you would be able to be like, oh, I know that person, and you would probably remember what they did, and somehow they would just stay relevant and fresh in your mind and in Goku's. And even just in the main characters like Krillin and Yamcha, when Goku grew strong, it wasn't just him. Of course, he was always the strongest by a fair amount, but you saw the other ones like Tien Shinhan and Krillin and Yamcha grow stronger, and you saw their struggles and their emotions, unlike many other animes. So like, I love Naruto. Naruto is a great anime, and I really love the show, but when Naruto and Sasuke were getting stronger, it was kind of just them. You saw some other people, but not really. Like, you weren't really seeing Kiba get stronger, and nobody cares about Kiba then, and nobody cares about Kiba now. Like, even the final war, nobody cares about Kina, nobody cares about Shino, like, nobody cares about any of them, you feel me? Like, they didn't have a ton of relevance, but all the characters in Dragon Ball, they still have relevance, whether they're strong or not, whether they appear a lot or not, they just maintain relevance. And even the ones who are supposed to have relevance, like Krillin and Yamcha, like, you see them getting stronger when Goku gets stronger, and you see the struggles, you see the training. It's not just Goku, it's not just Goku's the main character, so he's the only one who gets screen time, the only one who gets strength development or character development. The other ones do too. So that is one thing I really enjoyed about the series, and probably my favorite part of it. Like, even if there's a little small side character most people wouldn't think of, or you didn't think you'd see again, they come back and stay relevant, even if you haven't seen them for like 70 episodes. And the same thing is with the villains too. Like Pilaf, he got destroyed and he just seemed to kind of be a little bit irrelevant, but he came back later and brought back another major villain, Piccolo Daimao, from his sealment. So you just see things like that, where most of the characters maintain relevance, even if they're quote-unquote not relevant, they still maintain relevance. And the last thing is the power system, Ki. So Ki is just kind of this energy that they're able to manipulate and blast, and Ki is also a thing in the real world, or a concept in the real world. So I know people will be like, that's just like chakra or something like that. But remember what I said, this was a Trailblazer series. So the fact that the series was able to take something like Ki, something that was a concept in the real world, but probably not integrated a lot into things like comics, and integrate it into the world of Dragon Ball, was nothing short of genius. Like, that wasn't a normal thing. As I said, it was a Trailblazer. So that was like making a new mold, as I said before. And just the fact that he was able to think up of Ki and just kind of integrate it into the story and make it such an important part of the story, and think up things like the Donpa and Kamehameha and all the cool energy attacks that we get to see in the series that we know and love, was a big W for Toriyama. So that, I really enjoyed Ki, and I really like the fact that it was one of the first of its kind. So as I said, I would heavily recommend you watch Dragon Ball, because I think it is a very enjoyable show, and something that deserves a lot of respect, more respect than a lot of people give it. And if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably say an 8.5, maybe even a 9, even though that may be pushing it. 8.5 to 9, I'd say. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it a lot. I ended up binging it. I think a lot of people should watch it if they're bored and trying to think of an anime to watch, and they only watch Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, never bothered to watch Dragon Ball. I think that they should go and check out Dragon Ball, because it's a very interesting story and something that I enjoyed, and I know a lot of other people who haven't watched it would enjoy too. Because remember, I was gonna not watch it and just skip to Z, but I'm now very glad I decided to stick with it and start from the beginning out of a false sense of anime duty. I don't know, like, I just wanted to know all the facts. I didn't want to be creditless about the show, so I decided to watch from the beginning, even though I didn't want to, and I'm glad I did that, because I would not know what I had missed out on. So I would heavily recommend people watch Dragon Ball if they haven't already. 8.5 to 9, very good show. That's my opinion and review on the Dragon Ball series, the original. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, if you enjoy my content, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Dragon Ball and anime related content, and even share this video if you found it that enjoyable. And also comment down below if you like reviews like these and if you want me to do more. I will see you in the next video.